Got another reaction for you here. Yes, I recorded this intro on another day. What are you gonna do about it?
Yeah, I would advise young girls not to marry their girls. I would also
She sounds like she's got balls. Is it just me that thinks that? Holy shit, she has a deep voice.
advise younger women not to marry. Why do you need to get married? What I would
For creating a beautiful family, for having people who could take care of you when you're old, for passing on your own beliefs and your culture and your norms, and teaching your kids about life so they can go and make the world a better place by teaching them your values and your principles and morals, by learning how to care for something selflessly. You don't think these things would make you a better person as well and give you some kind of personal growth? And you're also contributing to society? Lots of reasons to marry.
actually advise is for all women to live and put together their lives as if they will, even if they get married, as if they will be single one day, as if they will be single with a child. You should be planning.
Okay, you can imagine that you'd be single. I think it is a good idea actually to at least always accept the possibility of a negative happening, but don't dwell on it. In your mind, every time something good happens, imagine what would happen if you lost the good thing and accept it and then put it in the back of your head and move on. It will make it easier to deal with if it happens, but don't dwell on it because you're going to make it more likely to happen, and don't assume that's what will happen, same problem.
Every milestone in your life without the idea of being married. And by that,
I completely disagree. Your main milestone in life should be to get married, and everything else should be a second.
I mean, you should always have your own bank account, no matter what. Even if you get married, don't switch it to a joint bank account.
Also, really bad advice. I'm pretty sure statistically it's shown that you're more likely to stay together if you have a joint bank account. Look, the whole point of marriage is to unify as one. One of the biggest problems with modern relationships is people getting married but living like they're still separate individuals. It makes no sense. They split everything 50-50. They have separate bank accounts. They have their own completely, entirely different schedules, and they barely even talk throughout the day. It doesn't make any sense. You should be doing things together. You should come up with something that you're going to eat together, that you're going to eat at the same time at the dinner table every day. You should have joint bank accounts, come together and decide what you need, what you don't need, make decisions as a couple.
Plan on buying your first home by yourself, not as a
Again,
married couple.
nope.
Plan for your first child by yourself and not being married.
What? That is the most horrible advice you could give anybody. Plan your first child by yourself and not being married? What? Are you telling people to be single moms, like to go to a sperm bank and get impregnated artificially and have a child on their own? First of all, I don't even think that should be legal. They should really make that illegal because that's fucked up. I don't know. It doesn't sit right with me.
You may be married when all this happens, but just plan for all of this to happen with.
Look, you don't need to plan for shit that you can entirely avoid. You can choose not to fuck someone you're not married to. Or at the very least, if you absolutely feel like you must and you cannot control yourself, you have some whore tendencies you can't work out, birth control or condoms or whatever, there's lots of ways to protect yourself. If you have unprotected sex with a guy out of wedlock and you become a single mom, it's your fucking fault. Sorry if you don't want to accept that, but it's true. You don't have to plan for that. You can avoid that by just not having unprotected sex with strangers. Pretty easy to avoid.
Being married. Because also, if you get married and you have a kid and it doesn't work out in your marriage, then you're going to be a single mother. It's going to be a lot easier for you, take it from me, if you already have.
Don't pick a husband your relationship would not work out with. Again, simple. They make it seem like it's complicated, really not. I don't understand how you can know a person for 4 or 5 years and then you get married and suddenly shit goes wrong. Clearly you didn't have a good relationship to begin with. I'm sure the evidence was there. If you could, I think I'd be an awesome like premarital counselor where you could come to me and after 1 or 2 conversations, I will know if your marriage is going to break up. Like, I'm pretty sure I could identify it. The signs are there. You just are unaware of them.
House in your name, if you have your own bank account, and you can exit that relationship as quickly as possible. I would also suggest that no woman, if she is going to get married in this day and age, do so without her own prenup. And that prenup should also have stuff in there about if you don't want your man cheating, Have some stuff in there about what it's going to cost that person if they cheat. You leave the relationship because of that. Also, things for emotional and psychological abuse, because that's what all this weaponized incompetence.
I'm so tired of hearing women talking about psychological abuse in a marriage. It's always so exaggerated. You would consider it abusive if you want to do something that's bad for you and your husband doesn't want you to do it, and you think it's psychologically abusive that he doesn't want you to do it and then he's mad at you if you don't listen to him. It's the dumbest shit. Most marriages are not psychologically abusive. It cannot be true. You would have to assume that, what is it, something like 35 to 40% or something of people are married? You would have to assume that nearly half the population of humanity is psychologically abusive people. Doesn't make sense. They're not abusive. You're just sensitive or retarded.
You should have an agreement in the prenup as to who's in charge of housework, who's going to do X, Y, and Z.
Bro, if you have to have a relationship where you have to have a government contract signed of who's going to have to do the housework, your marriage is fucked, I promise you. That is the most unhinged shit I could think of. You have to set rules in your own marriage that are sanctioned by law. I don't think it can actually be held up in court, but just the idea of putting it on an official piece of paper, like, you're gonna do the dishes every day. Doesn't that just seem retarded? Normal people don't think this way. If you feel like you have to force somebody or have them make some kind of pact with God that they're gonna do a particular thing, then I just don't think you're marrying the right person.
Get it all in writing, because as we've seen, these men, once you marry them, they change. These men who...
They don't change. They don't change. People are always what they are. You just don't see it. People don't really change. They change when their environment changes or their circumstances change or something bad happens to them. People don't just change out of nowhere. If somebody changed after you got into a marriage, there's not an unlikely probability that you're partially at fault. So if everybody cared more about themselves and just tried to be the best that they could possibly be, there would be a lot fewer of these problems.
Could take care of themselves, suddenly they can't, and suddenly you're doing all the work. So have all of that stuff covered in your prenup. And you're thinking, oh, why do I need a prenup? Yeah, I didn't think that when I got married, and then I ended up starting a company and being the main breadwinner and being the one with more money in the relationship. So at the end, guess who was paying out? Not my ex, So it's very important to...
I don't know. I'm kind of torn on the idea of a prenup. I think in general, it's a good idea. It's kind of like insurance. I don't think it necessarily says that there's anything wrong with your relationship or that you have trust issues. It's just insurance. But I also feel like, let's say you break up and you have to pay out 50% of your assets. Is it really that big of a problem? That big of an upset in your life? Like, yeah, you worked for all of that stuff, but presumably your wife was there to support you, or your husband was there to support you. Because why would you marry them if they added absolutely nothing to your life? So do you think that they just don't deserve anything that you made while you guys were together? Because in my opinion, that assumes that they just didn't bring any value to your life. And if that's the case, why did you marry them? I get why people would want to do it, but I don't really know if I would do it, just because I feel like it's almost kind of pointless. Like, I know you don't want to be the guy where, like, it's never going to happen to me and then it happens to you. But I don't know. I feel like if I was in that position and something did go wrong and I had to end up getting divorced, I don't think I would feel that bad about paying out some money to someone I spent years with, who didn't have a job, who took care of my kids. It's just, I don't know. That doesn't hurt me personally, but I guess it depends on what happened.
To get a prenup, and make sure that you have all of your deal killers, all the stuff that you would leave the marriage in there, so that it's very crystal clear at the end of everything. But literally, no, I would suggest that women plan their lives from start to finish, kids and everything, without accounting for a marriage or a man, and never share a bank account, never do any of that stuff. Like, just assume that you're going to be living your life without a man, considering how many divorces there are, and plan your life accordingly.
I think so many divorces exist because most people are actually dumb and don't know how to have a good relationship. I don't think it's because relationships don't work. I think it's really a skill issue. I'm telling you, I genuinely believe that I could be shown a couple before getting married and I would know if they're going to break up with like 95% accuracy. Complete skill issue. No man will have financial control over me. It's not like... I don't know. The fact that you think that it's financial control if you have a joint bank account, I feel like says a lot about your relationship. Because I would never feel that way, and my girlfriend would never feel that way either. So I don't know. This would have been a sign. Like if she had said something like that, or she had this mentality at any point, I would have picked up on it. I'd be like, this isn't gonna work out.